And away we go. It is the Nightcap, brought to you by Galactic Fried Chicken, right here on BearcatJournal.com, www.galacticfriedchicken.com. Go to the website. They will deliver right to your front door, pretty much anywhere inside the 275 loop. Or head down to Dayton, Kentucky, Wednesday through Sunday, lunch and dinner. Tell them to pump it up, and you will save 15% off of your order. What's going on, Shane? Mr. Galactic Fried Chicken himself is in the chat. That means it's going to be a spectacular show. You know why it's also going to be a spectacular show, Aaron?
Because we won.
Because the Bearcats won a home game. 74-72. Cincinnati toughs it out over Kansas State. A very good game in Fifth Third Arena tonight. Kansas State, a lot on the line. That was a team scratching and clawing and fighting for their NCAA tournament life. Cincinnati controlled the action. You knew Kansas State was going to make it interesting late.
Didn't want overtime.
No, you don't want to play overtime with them. With the help of, we'll get into that. But Cincinnati is able to win. Simas Lukosius nails a three to put Cincinnati up 74-72. They get a turnover. They survive. And they get their sixth win in Big 12 play, their third win at home. And Aaron, that was a doozy. Take it away.
Simas is the closest thing we have to a dude. I'm not ready to label him a dude because I think that he still has plenty of deficiencies.
No. Call it what it is. You're not ready to label him a dude because you don't like him and you don't want to label him a dude. He's won three. They've won 6 games. Simas has won 3 of them.
He's still not a dude. If you need a bucket,
he's the closest thing to a dude they've got.
That's what I said. It's literally what I said. Those were my exact words. He's just not a dude. He's not an. I mean, you want a true alpha. He's not quite there. Like I've said, I'd be happy if he was, like your third best piece. If he's your third best piece, you got a damn good team.
I think that's what he's supposed to be, but unfortunately, he's not. he's the best thing that they've got.
Also, apparently there was a drinking game on lobs in the first half, 1 of 5.
Well, those were different today, though. It was different today
because they
two of them Aziz missed. Like the lob was good, and Aziz missed the dunk. Like you can't. That's not a bad lob. The problem is they throw shitty lobs. They threw mostly good lobs tonight, and Aziz missed 2 dunks. Like that's not the lobber's fault.
Just too much. Just stop it with it. Outside of that, though, we saw point guard play at maybe its best all season between Day and Jizzle. Jizzle is my favorite player to watch on offense at this point, and it's not even remotely close. He's entertaining by himself.
Day was very entertaining tonight.
Yeah, the windmill
and finished. The windmill was nasty. Hit a couple threes.
Windmill is my favorite dunk of the season over everything else. And it sucks that it came on the same night that the asshole from Duke also hit a windmill that was...
I thought he was dead.
He was decimated by a crowd storming, but whatever. But I don't know. The Bearcats beat 8 starters tonight. So well done, and happy to finally get that elusive third home conference win.
We can start. Let's just get the official stuff out of the way.
Get it out of the way. Yes.
So I do not think that Cincinnati was poorly officiated in terms of the fouls that were called on the Bearcats. Most of them were fouls. And
I agree.
That is not the problem. The problem is Kansas State was not called for fouls doing the same thing that Cincinnati was doing. Like, there was twice. John Newman goes in for a dunk or a layup or whatever, and he gets just blasted at the end of the play. That's a foul. When you're bumping Cincinnati's ball handlers, if you're not going to call it on both sides, I don't have a problem with that. If you're going to call it on one side and you don't call it on the other, how do you expect there to be any flow to a game?
Aziz at one point in the second half got almost bent backwards going up for a rebound, and they just called it out of bounds on Aziz. Well, of course it's out of bounds. His arms were back here. I don't know what he was supposed.
It got destroyed, and no foul. So, like, that's the consistency is the problem, because that was a hard-fought, physical game between two teams that play a similar style. And to even try to defend one team
25
one team being called for, hold on, there it is. One team being called for 19 fouls and the other team being called for 13.
How many of those were late when they were fouling?
Cincinnati got 3 or 4 fouls like in their favor late that, that evened the numbers up a little bit to not make it look as bad. To say that Kansas State team committed 13 fouls in an entire game is ASA 9, ASA 10, ASA 11, like unbelievable. And that's it in the second half, especially. If you want to see what impacted the flow, that changed the momentum of that game, that was it. Now, Cincinnati didn't play well in that stretch, but a lot of that is because every time you took a breath on somebody from Kansas State, they were marching to the free throw line. And it was not how it was called when Cincinnati had the ball. Like, that's the infuriating part.
25 free throws to 8 on your own court. On your own court. That's wild. That is a wild stat.
It kept Kansas. It was the only chance they had to stay alive in that game. And they acquiesced. That part is just infuriating.
The turnover difference was 19-6.
Yeah.
To 6.
Look at the points off turnovers. You looked at points off turnovers?
No, I haven't even gone off this page. 29 points off turnovers. My goodness.
Kansas State had 6.
Well, they had to get those in order to make up the difference for free throws.
Cincinnati dominated points in the paint. They dominated bench points. Kansas State did a good job on the glass, but like Jason said here, Jamil went up for a foul or went up for a rebound. The guy was facing him. He wasn't facing the rim. He was facing Jamil. He bear hugged Jamil, and Jamil got called for the foul.
When he went to the bench,
got called for one on a tip in where he just reached over the guy to tip it back in, and they called a foul on him for over the back. Over the back is not a foul.
When Jamil went to the bench, he didn't look at him. He was sitting next to Chad Dollar, and he's like, what the fuck was that foul?
We sound salty. Are we sure we won? It's not salty, MA. It's the inconsistency that we've seen all year.
The entire conference slate. Absolutely.
It's frustrating. Like, that's the thing about it. I will never blame a loss on officials. But if it's egregious like it was tonight, I'm going to talk about it. It was egregious. It was the way that the game was called. The game was not officiated the same from one end to the other. And that's bad basketball.
It also slowed down the entire the last 5 possessions were reviewed 5 times. That's the last 3 minutes took 20.
Right.
And not because of free throws. It was not because of free throws back and forth or anything like that. It was just review.
And Doug Sermons called for the review every time, no matter what, immediately after the play. Review. What are we doing? So I just wanted to get that out of the way so we don't have to talk about it anymore. But
this one was good. Where Vic's going by the Cincinnati bench. He's trying to save a ball going out of bounds.
The guy comes from behind him, chucks him.
He got
full
hockey
body check.
Yeah, he got
full
hockey
body
check
check.
into the wall, and there was no wall. It was just his guys.
So is it salty? No, it's just like, as a basketball junkie, one of the things I hate the most is a game that's uneven in terms of you're allowed to do it on this end, but you're not allowed to do it on this end. Like that, it makes for a game where the officials have far too much game control over the outcome. No, they
Jason,
changed the
that
2
was
to a 3, I think,
yeah,
right?
that was a point from Tyler Perry on a 2 that it was actually a 3.
Yeah. That's
They
why
just
they
called
added
it
a
2
point.
on the floor. That was a good call. One
It
of
was
the
a
ones that got
sick shot. Jesus, he was
one of the ones that got right.
he was blanketed. And that's the crazy thing is I don't have a problem with. I'm not saying Cincinnati got hosed in the way that it was officiated, because right 95% of what they called fouls on Cincinnati were fouls, but there were 15 fouls. If that's the way the game is being called, there were 15 non-fouls in question when when Kansas State was defending. Like it's bull. It shouldn't happen.
My favorite thing about the end of the game, as we're finishing up this conversation on the refs, was Jerome Tang talking to the refs at every stoppage during
That's
the
what he
last
does.
2 minutes.
Yeah.
What were you even complaining about? They've been on your side the entire night. What are you, dog? You missed one all night. I don't know what you're even complaining about at that point in time. I laughed hard every time they panned to him in between any of those breaks, and he's chirping at whatever official is closest. It wasn't just one of them; it was all of them.
Perry had one of those too, right, where he clearly fouls somebody, and then it's like, "What do you mean? Not me?"
Well, that was the story of Hunter Dickinson's day earlier today. So,
oh, anyhow, let's get to the game.
sure.
Welcome back, John Newman. Like that's kind of for me, that's kind of the biggest storyline of this game. Newman with 18 points, 3 rebounds, 4 assists. He also did a phenomenal job on Arthur Kaluma. With Kansas State, like you kind of know Tyler Perry, and he was disgustingly efficient tonight. You want to make him work for it a lot more than they did. When he got looks, he made them. He didn't get a ton of looks, but the ones he did, he put in. But Kaluma is their Robin, and when they're good, he is good. And he was 2 of 11 from the floor, 0 of 5 from 3, 3 of 6 from the free throw line. He finished with 7 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, but the key 6 turnovers. So John was not only Superman on defense like he has been for a large majority of the year, but he also got his offense back on track, scoring 18 points, 8 of 12 from the floor. And what did I talk about, Aaron, when we talked about John kind of getting out of the flow? He needs rhythm from transition. He needs to get those buckets on the run to kind of get his motor running offensively, and he got that tonight. And, I mean, they needed every one of those 18 points from John Newman.
Absolutely. I love him in transition. I love him, especially being the front of a fast break. He at one point I feel like what the last layup he had? I don't think he dunked it. I can't recall if he did or not. But he's almost running backwards at the front of that fast break to make sure he got the ball soundly in order to get up with it. But it was it couldn't have come at a better time. I don't think that this Bearcats team had the firepower without John Newman to win this game.
Yeah. What happened to Dan? The word is a hip injury from practice yesterday. Look, I will second what Wes said in his post-game press conference. Dan plays basketball. Like, he's tough as nails. He is not a guy that's looking to sit out. He is not a guy that is looking to take a day off. Like Wes said, I think he's missed 1 practice since he's been here in 2 years. And I've seen him at practices, like hobbling out from the training room, and laces him up and goes out there and practices his butt off. I don't know. They said they're going to do an MRI tomorrow. It's something that just happened yesterday. So hopefully, like, if you're going to finish this season strong, you're going to need Dan Skillings out there. Like, guess what, Aaron? What have we been talking about? They need Vic to play better, and they need John to get back to what John was in the first, half of the conference play. And shocking, John gets 18. Vic looks solid and gets 6, gets some rebounds, played well, and they win. Like, those two are critical. They need Dan is equally a part of that as your leading scorer. You don't want to have to go through the end of this stretch here, these last 2 regular season games and into the conference tournament without Dan. So hopefully the MRI is clean and it's just something that, a couple days of rest and rehab can get him right. But man, for somebody that plays like him, a hip injury is not great.
Yeah, as we're talking about injuries and Vic, gotta hope that ankle is okay for Vic. That did not look great for him either, as he hopped one-footed off the court. But he was in so much better of a headspace today, even with the fouls being called against him. He wasn't. It didn't. I mean, he throws his hands up, but
he wasn't like whining. He wasn't
right. He crying about it. He didn't let it get into his head. He was still going for loose balls. He was still involved offensively. He's maybe the best screen setter. It looked like he was. I don't know that what he's doing is legal, but he's making sure he gets that whole shoulder into whoever is coming through. But it's I guess kind of in between him and Jamil for me as far as who the best screen setters are. But I don't know. Vic was he played a good game, 6 points on 3 of 8. Not super efficient, but he did lead the team in plus minus at 7. I think that's largely due to who was second in plus minus at 5 with Jizzle. But
the plus minus wasn't great for like it was like a neutral.
Yeah.
Everybody was pretty close to 0.
But yeah, good to see Vic playing in good headspace. He was laughing about some of the fouls, which that's not like Vic at all. That's not the Vic that I'm used to knowing. And I was here for it.
What do we talk about? Sometimes you just need one and hopefully his ankle's okay and he can get back out there, but hopefully Houston was that one where it got him back on track. You hate to see a guy that's been through the struggles he's been through kind of reach rock bottom. Now he's on his way back up and he, rolls an ankle on what was basically non-existent. Like it was just a goofy play, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wes has already lectured on plus minus. Okay. Wes isn't on this show.
We still like to talk about it. And Wes has lectured Chad plenty of times anyway this year.
So. Happens a lot.
Is 28 the most minutes that Jizzle's seen in conference? I don't know that he's seen 30. It's
I don't think he's seen 30. I know there was another game earlier in this year where he was up over 25, but I don't think he got to 28. So that could be right.
I know John was the story of the game for you. I brought it up once already, but getting into the numbers of it, point guard play today was the story of the game for me, as this was as efficient as they've played all year. Between the two of them, 10 and 14. So 24 points on 11 of 22 shooting with 9 assists collectively and 5 steals collectively. Of course, 4 of those coming from Day. As good a night of shooting as those two have had together at the same time. They played a lot of minutes together tonight, and I feel like that was their most effective rotation tonight with both of them out there, regardless.
Yeah, it's a good fit. It's a good fit against Kansas State because their guards are small. And And, it worked. And without Dan, you almost don't have a choice because you don't have, with no Dan and no CJ, you don't have another guard on the roster. Like, yeah, you can play CMOS at the 2. You can try to get away with John some at the 2. But ultimately, the only guards on the roster right now with Dan out and CJ out are Jizzle and Day. So people might get what they want, whether they wanted to, like, you might be seeing 20 minutes of those two together from here on out.
And of course, we'll see how that unfolds. It does not sound promising on CJ Frederick. Maybe the rest of the season.
They're hopeful he can come back. It's not as bad as what happened the first time that kept him out 6 weeks. So there is some hope that they can get him back if they play this right, either if not by the end of the regular season, get him back for the conference tournament. That's tough because you're working a guy back in that's played 3 games over 2 months, 2.5 months. Like, that's really hard. But with their guard situation, it's the same hamstring that he keeps kind of aggravating since the first time he did it. But yeah, point guard was outstanding. Like, look, again, they both finished tonight. They both got to the rim and put the ball in the basket. Not got to the rim and just kind of
their styles are
at the rim.
So different. Their styles are so different. With Jizzle with the hesitation and kind of trying to get you on timing your jump to block, as opposed to Day who's coming through not as we all compared Jaren to a freight train. Day is not that, but he is just fast.
He's like the road runner. Right? Like,
sometimes too fast, which is why he always ends up in the cameras.
He does not have brakes. Like, all gas, no brakes.
We did make layups tonight, Neil. 12 of 20. We over 50%. I don't know when the last time was that happened.
Hip, hip, hooray! 12 of 20 on layups, 4 of 6 on dunks. That's what, 16 of 26? That's a pretty good percentage.
Yeah, I'll take it.
We as fans just got to move on to next year. What? I worry about some of you. I really, I genuinely do. Why can you not enjoy things? What they won a game against a good team. Why can you not enjoy that? I don't understand. The windmill is nasty. Aaron already talked about that. It's his favorite dunk of the year.
It is my favorite dunk of the year. And also because it came from a small guy.
And he was up there, boy.
He was.
Bang.
Was that the first time that we've ever seen in all of NCAA a Day matchup?
Maybe. Yeah, John, you're right. He was about to have another one, and they said his heel touched out of bounds before he caught it on the left wing and exploded to the rim, and they caught him out of bounds.
Again, there's so much offensive awareness, court awareness that needs to be fixed in this next offseason for the guys that are coming back, because
sometimes there's just so little space over there. It happens.
With Day, though, you're good for about one of those a game where he just steps on a baseline or a sideline. It's like, man,
I think that might be another one of those stats you're making up, but
that's fine. 1 of 5 on the lobs tonight proved to be.
Oh no, he was definitely out of bounds for sure. Like, I'm not questioning whether he was out of bounds. I think he might have gotten a little wide-eyed when he saw the ball coming to him and the path he had to go dunk on somebody's head. the engine started a little early on that one, and he stepped out of bounds.
Oh, I did.
You see, he had 6 turnovers and 4 were on lob passes.
I did wear this shirt specifically tonight as they protected the house.
Aaron, what'd I tell you?
I did that for you. You're welcome.
Oh boy. More lob talk. Gonna need a beer.
Shitty lobs.
You're about to go to center.
It was center play. I felt like was pretty good tonight. Aziz and Jamil played well. Aziz defensively was a stalwart, as we've grown accustomed to. Jamil played at a high level, but high enough that the refs noticed that he was revving a bit hard, and four fouls for Vic. But all in all, those three bigs, the three, I include Jamil as the 7-footers, if you will.
He's 6'11", like 6'11 and a half. He counts.
Right.
We're gonna count it.
But
I think that was as good as
well.
we've seen. I think that was about as good as we've seen Aziz play defensively in a while, and he
Yeah.
controlled the paint. I'll be back in 1 second.
That block at the end of the game, towards the end of the game, I guess, with a couple minutes left, maybe as big a play as we saw down the stretch. That, of course, coming defensively. 6 points, though, for Aziz, 2 of 5, 2 for 2 from the line. Jamil, 4 points, 1 of 5, 2 of 5 from the line. Offensive rebounds weren't great. Only 10. Rebounding in general, 27 to 37. That's not a stat that we like to see. But Kansas State, that's a couple games now where Cincinnati, I wouldn't say they're getting pushed around defensively or on the glass, but they're not winning the battles that we're accustomed to seeing them win down low.
Yeah, I think some of that can be explained, Aaron, in that the next step, like if you're going to be a great offensive or a great rebounding team in general, which this team has been really good rebounding the basketball, you are going to have an understanding that is at the top of everybody's scouting report. Like one of the reasons that they're in games or they got an opportunity to win or whatever you want to say, however you want to phrase it, they know it is top of scouting report. Cincinnati is going to rebound, and if we can out-rebound, it's like everybody says the same thing for Houston, right? Cincinnati's not quite at that point in West building this program where it doesn't matter, and we're just going to do it anyway. So there are going to still be some games where the other team has kind of, circled that and put a star by it, and let their guys know if we win this rebounding battle, we got a pretty good chance to win the game because it's one of the things that they're great at. And, Kansas State was really effective on the board tonight. Some of that also is Kansas State takes a lot of jump shots, long twos, threes, and they, the ball comes off the rim a little strong at times, but ultimately, yeah, like now you're at that point, Aaron, where you have to become Houston, who they go into the game knowing everybody's going to try to keep us off the glass, and it doesn't fucking matter. We're still going to do it, right? Like that's the next step. It's one step to be great at rebounding. It's another in a league like this to say, I don't care if you're going to try to bully us. We're the bully. We're going to smack the shit out of you.
But like I said, all in all, I thought the big play was good tonight. Not great, but defensively, I thought they were.
It was solid.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I don't have any issues with and looking back, I don't have any major issues with it at all.
The Josh Reed minutes. Defensively, he was as solid as he has been all year. I thought. And offensively, he drives me insane. And I think it's because he lacks any type of drive to the hoop. And he is scared to shoot. There was probably 2 or 3 times where I thought he should have shot an open 3. And instead, he pivoted on a I have no idea why he pivoted wide open and looked to pass. Maybe it was because of where the shot clock was. I'd have to go back and check. But it just seemed weird. And I want him to feel like he can shoot freely as much as anybody else on the team, because I feel like his 3-point shot, I'm not going to be terribly upset about as I am with any of the guys who are over 6'10".
Yeah, I mean, I agree on one for sure, where I thought he had a clean look and didn't take it. The one he hit was what I want from him. He caught it, clean look, fired it, and knocked it in. I think he is trying. He's trying to blend, and he's got to grow out of that, because you, like in this league, there you can't blend. If you blend, you can't be on the floor. You know what I mean? Like if you're just trying to blend, if you're trying to look, I'm a defense guy and I'm in to play defense and I'm just trying to blend on offense. It's almost impossible in this league, because then they won't defend you.
There are conferences for players like that. It's not this one.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm with you. I'd love to see maturation in that regard in this offseason.
He did have, and it was mentioned, Wolfie mentioned it here, he did have a nice drive and assist. I want to see more of that. I want to see that confidence. I think more than anything, it's a confidence thing, Aaron, where he's just got to have that confidence that when the ball comes to me, if I'm locked and loaded, I'm going to let it go. And he doesn't have that yet.
The crazy thing to me is his lack of confidence, because every time he's shown he can do things on the floor, he's rewarded in minutes, probably more than anybody. Like his production,
because he's really good at defense.
But his production to reward, it's like tangible reward in minutes, is second to none on this roster. Like, if you do well at the things that you do well, you are literally rewarded with minutes and playing time. And it's like, you got to do the other things, and you would honestly, I think he'd be a 20-minute a night guy.
You know why that is, Aaron? Because defense is rewarded more than anything. I know that frustrates you at times.
Because I'm an offense first guy. Fair enough. But
but that's what frustrates you, is that you see that he's rewarded for minutes. But
I'm saying he could be rewarded more.
Right. I'm not disagreeing with you.
Okay.
I agree 100% offensively. He has got to find a little nasty to him. Like, I'm going to take this damn shot.
And no one's going to be upset with him for taking a shot. Is the thing, right? Like, I don't want to see him dribble in and take the 18-footer. I'm not asking for that. I don't want to.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah. But I want to see if he's capable of driving to the hoop and creating a layup, or creating a free throw opportunity, or I don't know that I've ever seen him dunk. I'm assuming he's capable of that. He's tall enough, I would think.
Let's see.
He's what, 6'7", 6'8"?
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
I don't know.
He has to find that rhythm offensively where he's catching it. And we've talked about this, we've talked about this with Josh. The problem being, a lot of times, guys like that are fighting at the back end of the rotation. What they're in the mentality is they're just trying not to screw up because they don't want to lose minutes, right? Like they're trying to almost quote unquote be perfect, because they feel like if they take an open three and miss it, that like that's gonna take away from what is getting them on the floor. He has got to get over that. And he is, I think part of the problem is, Aaron, at times he's not shot ready, where you see him move the ball in a position where we think he should shoot. He actually shouldn't shoot, but it's his fault. He shouldn't shoot because he's not shot ready when he catches it.
Like his
for a 3-point shooter,
he's not squared up. Yeah,
right. Like he's not into, like when you're a
in rhythm.
Yeah, when you're a quote unquote sniper, right? When you're a guy that is like, that's what you do, you have to be shot ready at all times.
Well, if he's not going to shoot the three, I would love to see, because I think he's an underrated rebounder.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see him, if you're not going to shoot the three, then go bang around down low, especially if you're coming in for minutes at the 4.
Yeah. He's a better rebounder. We saw it last year. Like, he was a better rebounder last year than he's showing this year.
I'm saying, I think that.
And some of it is positionally, you're correct. He's hanging out. But he's got to, when he catches, he's got to be shoulder square, like ready to 1-2 and rise up and bang it. And too often he's not, which causes the hesitation that drives us crazy, because we look at it and go, damn, he should have shot that. Well, actually, he probably shouldn't have, because it would have been forcing it because he wasn't shot ready. And by the time he is shot ready, somebody's going to recover, close out, and be in his face, which then makes it a bad shot. It's on him to understand his role. Yeah, he played a lot of 3 tonight because he had to, Wolfie. He hasn't played a lot of 3 this year. They don't have any guards. You know, this was a scramble situation where he had to play more 3 just because there were no viable alternatives to take him out of that role.
Right.
No, he knows his role, John. That's part of the problem, is he's over embracing his role as like coming in and being a defender. Well, you got to score too. And look, John Newman had this problem like when he got here, where he wasn't always shot ready. He like, my job is to defend his first year here. You know, Jeremiah's going to shoot and Dave's going to shoot.
We would have thought so differently of John Newman as a Bearcat had he not had this season.
Sure.
Like, I don't know, just the jump he made that we saw a little bit of that last year. Don't get me wrong, but
in the offseason, yes.
Statistically, and what we've seen this year would have been not the legacy that John Newman left behind.
I also think, Aaron, people don't want to hear this, but what we're seeing from John Newman this year is a great sign for most of this roster next year. Because guys are better in year 2. They just are. They just are. It's why people say the jump from freshman year to sophomore year is the biggest jump, because in the second year, you're a lot more comfortable. Well, we're seeing that in the transfer portal as well. Guys that are in their second year are much better in year 2 than they were in year 1. And Day fits that. Jizzle fits that. Aziz, Jamil, Simas. You know, these guys are all going to be way more comfortable in year 2 than they are in year 1. And that alone is going to allow this team to make a jump without the roster additions, however many there are, that are coming.
That's a good question.
As far as I know, yeah.
Odie and John, the only ones walking out.
That's the plan. We'll see what the plan looks like in a month, because it's the transfer portal, and I don't pretend to know how to predict the transfer portal.
They're just saying senior night.
Well, yeah, but if guys could walk and, you know, get their flowers. My understanding is that those are the 2 that are going to walk. I hate that I'm not going to be there Saturday. I hate it. I love senior night.
Hashtag senior, single dad life.
Yeah, I mean, volleyball dad. You know, we got a tournament in Gatlinburg. We got a tournament in Gatlinburg, and you know, I missed her tournament today. I sat there in my seat with her tournament up. I watched more of her game than I did the UC game until her game was over. It's, you know, I'm dissecting. I can't help it, Aaron. Like I dissect these games like I do
You're
college
in the
basketball.
you're in the arena though. If you need to glance at what's happening, you can hear the crowd getting louder as there's anticipation.
Yeah. How's Odie's minutes or how's Odie's mentality lately? Great. Odie's great. Like, just a great. I'm sure he's frustrated. I'm sure he's mad. Like, human nature. But he's a good dude. He understands. He understands that the object is to win. I'm sure if if you really sat him down in a moment of confidence, he would tell you that this year's kind of sucked for him because he didn't end on a bang like everybody wants to in their final year of college. But he loves the program. He loves the team. He's been great. Transfer portal night. Here are the guys we think might leave. We're gonna.
I was just gonna say, Odie always has given you everything he had every single time he's been in the game, and that's Bearcat mentality through and through.
Yeah, he won't be remembered as fondly as he should.
That's fair.
I mean, the guy came in and put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into this thing. He didn't get the reward at the end, but I love Odie.
One of the first ones in though with Wes, and stuck around to see it all through.
Yeah.
It's a good way to put it. Helped stabilize the program.
He did. He whenever he has been called upon, you've never once questioned his effort or his intention. Has he always been good enough? They're probably not. No, but that's never impacted the way he approached every day.
That's also been why we've been so high when he's surprised the shit out of us with a highlight level play.
Right. Good for him. He was a starter last season. Yeah, he was. Look, I think that's if you're looking for what's different between the American and the Big 12, Odie is if not a starter level player, a heavy rotation level player in the American. In the Big 12, he's a tweener. You can't play him at center in the Big 12.
Right.
And it's really hard to play him at the 4 in this league.
Although, if Vic and or Jamil had fouled out tonight, I was very curious if we were going to see Odie or Sage minutes.
Odie, come on.
I understand.
Luckily, Jamil wasn't Aziz wasn't really in foul trouble, so they just would have okay, Aziz, here you go. Get us to the finish line. Look, man, more than anything, this fan base needed this one.
I agree.
2-7 or 2-5 at home coming into this game. The fans have been incredible all season. I think they were 50 people short of a sellout tonight. That's a sellout, whatever. The energy in the arena has been electric all year, and it's good to see it get rewarded, even though everybody was they're going to lose this. They've been in control of this whole game, and they're going to lose this damn game, aren't they? When Tyler Perry hit that 3. Big on CMOS to step into that bad boy with some confidence. I think Carey mentioned it on the board. I mean, he missed 2 wide open rhythm looks right before that. He missed it. They got an offensive rebound. They kicked it back to him. He missed it again.
Not a great shooting night. That's a guy we haven't talked about tonight. 13 points, 5 of 13 from the field, 3 of 8 from the arc. Only 1 rebound for a guy who's slipping between the 2, the 3.
He had mostly 2 or 3. He was not in rebounding position tonight as much as he has been.
Well, he's never in rebounding position.
He's done better. He's actually worked to improve. I'm not saying he's been a good rebounder by any stretch. What I'm saying is there were points in time at the beginning of this season and into the beginning of conference play where you wanted to strangle him because he wasn't boxing out. He wasn't fulfilling his assignment. Guys were rebounding, offensive rebounding over him, with relative ease. He got better at it. Tonight he wasn't really, I didn't think he was really in like being asked to be in a rebounding position a ton, but you saw the Dan impact tonight there. Because, you know, when you subtract one and add to the other, things even out. Dan would have gotten you 5-6 rebounds tonight. That's what he does.
Sure.
And
Dan also
rebounding level out if Dan was in the game. Like, Dan can be wild. He can turn it over. He can drive you crazy. But there's one thing that kid is going to do at an insanely high level for a guard wing, and that's go get you 6 rebounds a night.
Run.
Yeah. Well, that too, but
I don't know. I mean, I feel like even with Dan in, as you're talking about the Dan effect, I think that opens up CMOS around the arc a little bit more for even more open shots, because Dan is generally the guy that's penetrating when he gets the ball. And
yeah,
while he doesn't kick out to anybody nearly as much as I would like, because he has maybe negative offensive awareness, he does create some things when he does start to move the ball around if he is driving and gets stopped before he makes it.
Yeah. Surprised CMOS was inbounding the ball at the end. Thought it should have been the one shooting the free throws. He's your best passer, and it's not close. You know, what you can't do is turn that over.
Who had the pass to John down low from the arc? Was that early in the second half? I want to say it was either Vic or CMOS. I don't recall if it was Vic or CMOS. It was one of the two.
I don't know, Aaron. I was probably watching volleyball at that point.
Well, CMOS, there you go. In the chat.
Okay.
I was trying to help your point. I thought
I know. I just don't remember. I might have been watching volleyball at that point. But CMOS is your best passer. You want him inbounding the ball in that situation, because at least if you get to the free throw line, if the inbounds is successful, even if the guy misses, they have a long way to go and very little time to do it to get a shot off. So, yeah. Have we touched on Jizzle yet? We touched on the point guards in general. Yeah. I thought Jizzle's defense was much. I didn't find myself cussing at him because he had just lost his mind on defense much today.
That steal he had where he stepped into the passing lane was fantastic.
Yeah. His problem, though, has always been more on, like, he gets lost or on ball screens. He gets either caught up or he gets lost in his rotation, or, you know, it's just freshman stuff. It's just stuff that you learn with experience. And I didn't notice as much of that today. Now, you know, John said he's seen great improvement from him on D. That's game to game, John. There have been some games that he has been bad. The TCU game, he really, really struggled defensively. I think the Iowa State game, he really, really struggled defensively. So he's getting there. He's getting better. But it did happen again tonight with Perry at the end of the game. That happens with Tyler Perry, though. Kudos to that kid. I want to give that kid some flowers.
He's really good.
Because he was bad for a while. And like the Kansas State folks were, you know, treating him like Day for a while. Like it was you know, how much money did we waste? How much, you know, this guy's supposed to come in and be the guy that leads us to the tournament. And if you look over the past 3 weeks, he has been electric.
Efficient shit tonight.
Well, that has been the exact opposite of what he has done for a lot of this year. That's about as efficient as a point guard can play, the shit he did tonight.
26 points, 70% from the field on 10 shots, 6 of 8 behind the arc, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. I don't know what else you want from a point guard on that team.
And his threes were, by and large, guarded. Like, he wasn't just running off, guy going under ball screen. He catches and fire, like it dribbles off the ball screen and shoots it. He was defended pretty well most of the night.
He's also begging for the ball at the end of the game. He wants the ball in his hands. And I don't know how all of the fouls that were called tonight on Cincinnati, I have no idea how the refs were able to all collectively swallow their whistles on that last layup he tried to go.
It wasn't a foul. Like if you watch the no. I know. If you watch the replay, it actually wasn't a foul, but they had been getting that call all night. It had not been called. They called it like they called it the other way, where Cincinnati was not getting that call all night, but great defense on that play.
I thought Cincinnati tonight, probably more so than any game that I can recall this season, was so good at just having hands up and down. Yep. Anytime anybody was driving.
They walled up. They weren't reaching.
But they did a very good job tonight at trying to just stay up and down. And it was
I would agree.
Good stuff.
I would agree.
I know you hate to log off here when we have almost 100 people in the chat. It's probably the bane of your existence, logging off when there's that many people. So if y'all want us to keep talking, throw some questions up. Otherwise, it's going to be hard to continue talking about this game.
I think we've hit on, we've done 50 minutes on breaking down the game. I don't think there's a lot else to get to. 11 steals to 3. That's pretty good. The other thing, Aaron, the assist numbers the past couple games have started to go back up, where they were pretty low for a couple weeks, where it was like, man, this team is just not scoring off the pass at all. 17 tonight on 31 made baskets. You'd still probably like to see a little bit better number there, but more importantly, 10 assists on 17 made baskets in the second half. They shot over 50% in the second half against Houston. They shot 54% in the second half tonight, 40% from 3. Overall, 47% from the floor, 38% from 3. This is what we talked about a couple weeks ago, right? You don't have to be great. You don't have to be elite. For this team, they just need to be better than trash. And today they were.
Yeah, even on those 8 free throws, 50%.
John Brossert, who I believe is the owner of my favorite message board handle in Bearcat Journal history. I believe John is Lucy Loves Bananas, which is my favorite.
Huh? Just doxed him.
We've talked about it like in conversations before. That's my favorite. There's no better username on Bearcat Journal than Lucy Loves Bananas.
It's a pretty good one.
R.I.P. Lucy. Wes does a good job getting easy shots or good quality looks out of timeouts. Do you think he waits too long to call timeouts sometimes when the offense goes into a funk? I think he is. I'm going to be careful how I word this. I think he is a point guard coaching basketball. And you know what your point guard never wants? He never wants his coach to call it. I got it. Let me play. Also,
Roy Williams also did not call timeout.
That's you go back to his mentor, and like UNC fans, one of their very few gripes they had with old Roy was that he thought timeouts rolled over to the next game.
I'm gonna start a terrible rumor here right now. I'm not sure if it's a rumor or not, but maybe it's because he was wearing the Bread 4s tonight. Maybe it's because he had on. It's not because he had on all black, because I'm accustomed to seeing him in all black. But I'm not certain there wasn't a color job going on up top on Old West tonight. Just saying.
Neil says he calls more timeouts in his living room than Wes does. Neil, you call 73 timeouts in your living room.
That's because he has to change his shirt.
27 technicals. Yeah.
That's because Neil's always changing his shirt.
Neil goes Chris Webber by the end of the first half every game. Timeout. Timeout. That's timeout. Other team scores a basket to cut the Cincinnati lead to 20 to 13. Timeout. Timeout, Wes. Wes, get timeout. Neil 1 minute into the game. This is a loss every game. That's part of Neil's. Like that's how they win games. No shirt change tonight. Wow. Well, that's because they were up almost the entire game.
I was worried he may have changed his shirt at the 3 by Tyler Perry there.
Well, at that point in the game, you're not changing your shirt. You're just taking your shirt off. Right? You're not putting a new one on. But Tyler Perry hits that 3 to go up 1.
He did that at
71.
Well, then you got to put it right back on though as soon as Seamus hits.
Right? No, you can't. Seamus made it when you did your Bert Kreischer impersonation. That's right, Ty.
The dog knows Bert Kreischer.
He doesn't like the thought of Neil with his shirt off. He was like, "Wait, what are we doing here? Put your shirt on, Neil." I've finished games without a shirt before.
We all knew. We all knew.
I love you guys. That's exactly what had happened though. Like he takes it off after Tyler Perry hits the 3. Seamus hits the 3. You can't put it back on. It does not go back on at that point in time.
All right. You got anything else? Dogs are barking. They're losing their shit.
It's probably a good thing Neil isn't local, or he would be looked at strangely when he shows up to Fifth Third with 17 shirts. He looks like they catch people like stealing from department stores.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the guy at the airport who didn't want to put all the stuff in his suitcase because it was going to go overweight.
That's just how I look.
I always wear 7 layers. It's fun.
I heard these flights were cold. Yeah, I wish I was kidding. We know you're not, dude. We know you're not. We are well aware you're not. All right. I gotta get to Spooky Nook tomorrow. You know what Spooky Nook is?
Nope.
It's the giant athletic complex built in Hamilton that is hosting the volleyball tournament that Kelsey's in.
Well, you'll excuse me if, while growing up all too close to Hamilton, steered clear of Hamiltucky at all costs.
Yeah, I have to go. Well, I will. Today, what would you do in this situation, Aaron? Okay.
This should be good.
So they were in like the best pool. So it was, if they finished first in the pool, they played at 8:00 tomorrow. If they finished second in the pool, they played at 8:00 in the morning tomorrow. If they finished third in the pool, they played at 9:00 in the morning tomorrow. Me knowing I'm going to get home at 11. We're going to be doing this until 12:30. I'm going to have to get everything put up on the site and all that good stuff. I'm not going to go to bed until 12:30, 1:00. And then I would have had to have been on the road to Hamilton with my daughter. Yeah. I mean, I thought about that. But I'm not going to have a lot of time.
Don't think it better be about it.
Well, if they started at 8.
Finish your story.
So I was like, I'm going to have to be on the road at like 6:30. Asleep by 1:30, 2:00, back up by 5:30, and then head up to Hamilton. But if they finished 4th, they didn't play until 4:00 tomorrow. Now, it was a heartbreaker. They lost 3 games, all in the third set, all like by a point. You have to lose by 2. They lost all 3 games in the third set by 3 points or less. So basically, they had a day that very much resembled the UC basketball season.
So how'd they do when you were there last week?
The first week they were great. They lost on the last day. They were undefeated the first day, lost in the tournament.
Have they ever been 4th place going into Sunday on any of? Okay, so what have we learned about Chad here in this last couple of weeks? We've learned that you're not allowed to go to watch parties at the Holy Grail. Not for basketball.
My record in those has usually been great until this year when they can't win.
Well, not the rest of this season. You are not allowed to go. You were stricken. You were stricken, and you need to go to volleyball tournaments. And Keegan can fill in on this here little show.
Okay,
that's
why I'm going.
Just saying,
you guys are going to have the show senior night. Like you guys, I'm not going to be in Gatlinburg, and I'll tell you this right now. Need to bring shirt change. I'll tell you this right now, Aaron. You know what I'm not doing from Gatlinburg? Jumping on that show with you knuckleheads. I can tell you that right now. Y'all are on your own next Saturday.
I just thought you were going to say going shirtless. Please don't do that at any of your daughters.
At a volleyball tournament?
Nope.
I don't think that's how I'm going to impress the divorcee volleyball moms.
I'm not sure you're allowed to stay if that happens.
What are you doing? Cats are down 4. Under 8 stop. Cats are down 4. We got to change the momentum here.
I tried calling timeout. It didn't work.
All right. That's going to call it. I love you guys. Thanks for being here. It was going to play hillbilly golf in Gatlinburg. Best putt around. I don't know. All I know is I'm going to have my shirt off at a volleyball tournament. We'll see you Tuesday night. Be a little late one, but we will be here. Hopefully, it's much more fun talking about a win. Hopefully, we can do that again. We'll see you next time. It's the Nightcap, brought to you by Galactic Fried Chicken, right here on BearcatJournal.com.
See ya.